Pleiadians. They're going to look exactly like us. They're going to be diminutive, mostly, you know, like 5 feet, 5'5", that kind of thing. And they're not going to be threatening at all. And they're going to come down in a spacecraft, and it's just going to be like 50 feet wide. It's not going to be threatening. It's not going to be a mothership or anything. And they will land at probably a military base so they can control and not have crowds. And there's going to be a small contingent of news people, you know, just one group of camera people and one group of news and magazines and such. And they'll be there to record it. So the Pleiadians are going to come and they're going to start telling us things about where we actually come from, and all these details about our true history and not what legends and all. So it's going to be a very interesting time that first time. They're going to start in Russia and they're going to go through about 15 different countries around the world. And each time they go, they're going to bring a little gift. And it'll be a gift that would be archaic to them, but it'll be something that we've never seen before. So each country will get their own little unique gift, each government official. So the Pleiadians will come, and they're not going to stay that long, and they'll leave. They don't want to seem like it's an invasion or anything. And they'll leave us alone for a while and let the dust settle and all this stuff, you know, with all the religions, you know, suddenly having to react to all this new information. And it's going to be quite an interesting time there. They'll come back another couple of times, and then, lo and behold, in 2016, the Grays are going to arrive. Now, the Grays are those little guys, you know, the little 3-foot tall guys with the big black eyes that you've seen many, many depictions of. And they're going to publicly apologize for abducting a little under 26,000 people. Now, the 26,000 figure is not in this book. It's something that's new that I got just recently. Will be in the second book. And after I put this out, it's like everybody's been coming out of the woodwork saying, "Tom, I think I've been abducted. Can you check with Antura?" And one of the things that happens when I'm going to communicate with Antura telepathically is that Theo, because Theo is also his guardian angel when he has Earth lives, he's had 800 so far, and I ask him, and he's part of this first contact team, and I ask him, well, what you know, assets were you able to give to be part of a first contact team? And he said, I have the gift of gab, okay, after 800 lives on Earth. And so these Grays are going to come publicly apologize, but here are all these people that are coming and saying, "Tom, I've had this experience," and so when I ask Antura, he's already been told the questions I'm going to ask by Theo, okay, so he can do any kind of research or anything on the people that are asking the questions. And so far, almost every single one of the emails I've gotten, very long explanations in some cases about things that have happened, have all been true. These people can only remember maybe 1 or 3 or 5 instances, but he says, Antura says, on average, people were abducted at least 30 times. And many were abducted as many as 100 times. And they just don't remember this, okay? They wipe their memories off of it. And he keeps saying, "Tom, tell these people to go to a hypnotist and start bringing these back up so that they won't have so many problems and work on their next lives they have because of this very emotional thing." Because what these Grays were doing, their race was dying, okay? They were cloning people, but they weren't being ensouled. There were no souls. And so they came to Earth, and he said, Tom, he said, these were Grays from the past. Okay, these are Zetas. And he said, they come from the past, and so pretty far in the past. And so he said they could have landed in the 17th or 18th or 19th centuries, and people would have been confused. But he said, no. He said their equipment took them to the 20th century. And that's where they landed, and that's where they started looking for these DNA signatures, these DNA profiles that they needed specifically to create this hybrid race. And when they would abduct, say, a woman, they would impregnate her, and at the start, it would be, they would keep her on board the ship for 9 months, and she would have the child. And then, of course, they'd take her back and put her back in, because they could travel in time. They could put her back into her bedroom 2 minutes after she left. And they'd say, and they'd go to the doctor and say, "You've been pregnant." "No," you know. And that was the reason. Well, eventually, they were able to cut it down to 4 months, and they were able to remove the fetus out of the womb and have it grow outside the woman, so that they wouldn't have to keep them so long. Because here are these, they were having to keep people, you know, on board the ship for up to over 9 months, and you know, have them running around, you know, mostly probably with a guard, but very, very emotional for them. So originally, going back to Atlantis.
It's in a purse.
Yeah, we know purses. Yeah. So originally, towards the end of Atlantis, there was when all these ETs saw that Atlantis was going down the tubes, there was an Earth directive that was created saying, hands off, because here all these ETs have been interacting with the Pleiadians and so on, and forming all these little colonies all over the place by doing these experiments on different kinds of humans and everything. And so they said, hands off. Nobody's supposed to interfere with Earth. Well, along comes the Grays, and they started abducting these people. Well, they didn't have it in the directive that they couldn't, that nobody could abduct. And so you have to understand, universal time is 10 times slower than Earth time. Earth time, we're in a space-time continuum. There we go. Where our time is speeded up, and Earth years, there's 10 Earth years for every 1 universal year. And so it took them about 2 or 2.5 universal years to get all these 200 planets together and say, hey, hands off. And of course, by that time, the Grays had been abducting people for over 25 years. But they finally updated the Earth directive, and the Grays were told, no more. So you won't find any more abductions. You will find your home planets sometimes are checking up on you, you know, in a dream state or whatever, but there's no physical abductions. That's what I've been told. 2017. Now, after 2016, and by the way, I was just told the other day the Grays would be in the latter half of 2016, okay? Sometime in the latter half of 2016. In 2017, just before the Sirians arrive, the Pleiadians are going to come back. And they're going to say, hey, look, guys, this next group that's coming looks really different from you. There's going to have a lot of really, really different beings. And so they're going to kind of forewarn everybody before the Sirians arrive. And so, I'll keep it there for a minute. And so when the Sirians arrive, they're coming in a big mothership, and it's only going to be, they actually have a mothership that's doing constant studies on us all the time, and it's only 50 miles above the Earth. I was really surprised. I thought it'd be 1,000 miles or something, because our space stations, you know, are like 125 or 35, whatever it is, above the earth. But they say, no, we can cloak ourselves, and it's much easier to do studies and to send out our scout ships. So when Antura comes, that's when I'm supposed to meet him. And I found out just not too long before I closed out the book that not only was I supposed to meet him, and I thought I was going to get a ride, I learned all this stuff and sounded fantastic, but he said, oh, by the way, you're going to do shoot the first documentary ever shot on board a mothership. So here I am. It's going to be a busman's holiday, not too much. I'll be on, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever they want to keep me at, and I'll be with my family, and my daughter, luckily, is a film school graduate, and she owns her own photography company here in the Dallas area, and so she'll probably be my director, and who knows what all we'll do. So that's going to be kind of the start of it. How are they going to get here? Well, they do what's called portal hopping, okay? It turns out that on Earth, there are 60 portals, okay, on Earth. We're like Grand Central Station. A lot of planets in the universe only have one portal, okay, but we have 60. We even have 1 or 2 that goes to the next universe over, which I'll be discussing in a little while. So there's another universe right next to ours, and because we're at the edge of our universe, they stuck planet Earth over on the edge so we wouldn't get much traffic. There's all these portals with people popping through and going other places. So they're going to arrive in a portal, and all these portals supposedly are very near the surface. I thought they would be high up in the sky or something, but they're all very near the surface. So there's some type of energy there that obviously I haven't asked enough questions of Antura yet to find out about, but there are all these portals. Okay, now their first contact team of the Sirians, they're going to be contacting government officials, they're going to be contacting scientists, but then, because they do not want to seem elitist, as he calls it, they want to have normal people come. And so Antura will have me and then 2 other people. One of the people is another member of our soul group. That's a lady that's living in St. Paul de Vence in Provence near Cannes, France. And I've actually visited there when I had a couple of days off in between film markets or getting ready for a film market. I've actually gone to St. Paul de Vence. It's really a beautiful little city with cobblestone streets and everything. Very artistic. Tons of artists live there. And so that's where she lives. And then the other person lives in Taiwan. And the person in Taiwan has had lives with Antura on Earth, but I haven't had any lives with this person. Okay, so he's got the 3 of us, and then there are 3 more in his first contact team for grassroots, and each of those 3 contactors or first contact team members have 3 people each, a total of 12. All right, besides all the government and scientists and all they're going to speak to. Now, the mothership they're coming in, this is just an image I found, so it's not like what I think probably the mothership looks like, but it looks good. So the mothership is a mile wide. And this is something I just found out recently that's not in the book. It has, why I didn't think to ask this, I don't know, but it has 4 decks, okay? So a mile-wide ship that has 4 decks. We're talking about a mammoth Mama Jama. And so it's coming with a crew of 850. Originally, he didn't know exactly how many were coming. He said the ship can easily